Have you ever wondered why your kindness keeps getting you overlooked? Why the world rewards the ruthless while your gentle heart gets trampled? What if I told you that every act of compassion you thought went unnoticed was actually being recorded in a ledger you can't see? Listen carefully, chosen one, because what you're about to discover will shatter everything you believed about how favor works in this world. You were just being kind. Opening a door for a stranger in the rain, offering your last $5 to someone who looked desperate, smiling at that broken soul in the grocery checkout line when everyone else looked away. You thought nothing of it. Just another forgotten moment in an ordinary day. But heaven never forgot. And neither did the billionaire. The world wears masks, but kindness sees the soul. And while you were moving through life with quiet compassion, someone powerful was watching. Not judging, remembering. Not calculating, marveling. Because in a world where everything has a price tag, you showed up without a bill. That stranger you helped, they weren't wearing a designer suit that day. No entourage, no flashing lights. Just a hoodie, a weary spirit, and a heart that had given up on finding authentic people. But you became their proof that goodness still breathes. Here's the shocking truth they don't want you to know. 70% of billionaires move in complete disguise when they want to see who's real. No titles, no flash, just raw humanity testing raw humanity. And chosen one, you passed an exam you didn't even know you were taking. What if that moment, that split second of unforced kindness was holy ground? What if your gentle heart just unlocked a billion-dollar door you never knew existed? The enemy told you that being soft was a disadvantage, that your kindness was weakness. But what if your greatest supposed flaw was actually heaven's master key to your breakthrough? Before we dive deeper into this divine revelation, I want to pause and say thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. If this message finds your soul stirring, already drop a 777 in the comments right now. That's not just a number, it's a signal, it's a spiritual frequency. Heaven is watching. And now, finally, it's responding. Because what's about to unfold will prove that your kindness wasn't wasted. It was an investment. And the return is about to leave you breathless. Have you ever felt like the world punishes you for being good? Like every time you choose kindness over calculation, you get stepped on while the ruthless climb higher? What if I told you that what you think is punishment is actually promotion in disguise? Dear chosen one, you've been living under a divine microscope, and you didn't even know it. For years, you've watched the cruel get rewarded. You've seen liars prosper while truth-tellers get silenced. You've witnessed the selfish succeed while your generous heart keeps getting broken. And somewhere deep inside, a voice started whispering, maybe I'm doing this all wrong. Maybe kindness really is weakness. But that voice isn't from heaven. That's the enemy trying to steal your greatest weapon. Let me take you back to a moment you've probably forgotten. It was raining that Tuesday afternoon. You were rushing to catch the subway, already running late for work. As you approached the station entrance, you saw him. Middle-aged man in a faded hoodie and worn-out baseball cap. No designer labels, no expensive watch, nothing that screamed success or importance. He was struggling with his Metro card, frustrated, getting soaked in the downpour. Most people walked right past him. New Yorkers are busy people, right? Places to go, money to make, lives to live. But something in your spirit wouldn't let you pass by. You stopped, you helped. You showed him how to swipe his card properly, maybe even offered to pay his fare. You didn't think twice about it. What you didn't know was that man was worth $2.3 billion. But here's what's even more shocking. He wasn't testing your kindness to reward you later. He had given up on finding genuine people altogether. This billionaire, this man who could buy anything, own anyone, had reached a place of spiritual bankruptcy. Money couldn't purchase what his soul was desperately searching for, proof that authentic humans still existed. You see, when you have that kind of wealth, everyone becomes an actor. Every smile comes with a hidden agenda. Every conversation is a carefully choreographed performance designed to extract something from you. After decades of this, the wealthy learn to move in complete disguise when they want to see who people really are. No entourage, no flash, no hints of their true worth. Just raw humanity testing raw humanity. And you, precious chosen one, you passed a test you didn't even know you were taking. Remember Ruth in the Bible? She was out there gleaning in the fields, just trying to survive, taking care of her mother-in-law, Naomi. She had no idea that Boaz, the wealthy landowner, was watching her every move. Ruth 2:11-12 tells us that Boaz said, "I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. You left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with a people you did not know before." Ruth wasn't performing for an audience. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was simply living out her character, day after day, in the ordinary moments when no one important seemed to be watching. But someone was watching. Someone with the power to change her entire destiny, just like you. That Tuesday in the rain wasn't random. That moment when you chose compassion over convenience wasn't insignificant. You weren't just being nice to a stranger. You were taking a spiritual examination, and your soul answered with excellence. Think about Tyler Perry. Before he became a household name, he was homeless, sleeping in his car, watching people walk past him like he was invisible. But he never forgot those moments. Years later, when he achieved massive success, he would dress down and walk among regular people, observing who still had kindness in their hearts when there was nothing obvious to gain. Or consider how Keanu Reeves is known for sitting with homeless people, sharing meals, having real conversations, not for the cameras, not for publicity, but because he understands that wealth without compassion is just expensive emptiness. The man you helped that rainy day had lost faith in humanity. He was planning to withdraw even further from the world, to build higher walls around his heart. But your simple act of kindness cracked something open inside him. You reminded him that goodness wasn't extinct, that not everyone had a price tag attached to their kindness. You weren't being tested for your networking skills. You weren't being evaluated on your ability to recognize opportunity. You were being examined for the content of your character when no reward was visible on the horizon. And here's the part that will give you chills. While you've been beating yourself up for being too nice, while you've been second-guessing your gentle heart, while you've been wondering if kindness even matters anymore in this cold world, your reward has been watching, learning, planning, preparing. Because true wealth recognizes true wealth. And what you carry in your spirit, that unshakable commitment to treating people with dignity regardless of their status, that's the rarest currency on earth. Have you ever wondered why you can't seem to turn off your compassion, even when it costs you? Why your heart won't let you pass by someone in need, even when you're struggling yourself? That's not weakness, chosen one. That's your spiritual DNA activating. That's evidence of your divine assignment revealing itself. The world told you that being soft would get you nowhere. But what if your softness was actually your strength in disguise? What if every door that closed, because you wouldn't compromise your character, was protecting you from settling for less than your divine destiny? That billionaire didn't just witness your kindness. He encountered something he thought was extinct. And now, everything is about to change. But the question that's burning in the spiritual realm right now is this. Are you ready for what happens when authentic kindness meets unlimited resources? Are you prepared for the moment when your character testimony becomes your greatest asset? Because what's coming next will prove that every seed of kindness you planted in secret is about to produce a harvest you never could have imagined. Chosen one, Let me paint you a picture that will stop your heart and restart your faith all at once. Picture this: a corner office on the 47th floor of Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city that never sleeps. But inside, someone was dying. Not physically, spiritually. This billionaire you unknowingly encountered wasn't just wealthy. They were wealthy and empty. Rich in dollars, bankrupt in hope. You see, dear chosen one, money can buy everything except the one thing that matters most: meaning. And this soul had spent decades climbing mountains of success, only to discover they were standing on a graveyard of broken promises and hollow victories. Think about it. When was the last time someone looked at you and saw you not what you could do for them, not what you could give them, not how you could serve their agenda, but simply saw your soul and said, "You matter"? For this billionaire, that hadn't happened in over 7 years. 7 years of handshakes with hidden agendas. 7 years of smiles that wanted something. 7 years of feeling like a walking ATM in a designer suit. They had everything the world said would make them happy. A penthouse apartment worth $12 million. Cars that cost more than most people's homes. Private jets, islands. Yet they went to sleep every night wondering if anyone would miss them if they disappeared. Not their money them. The prophet Isaiah wrote, "All of us have become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous acts are like filthy rags." This billionaire's righteousness had become performance. Their charity had become tax write-offs. Their kindness had become strategy, until you showed up. You didn't offer money. You offered oxygen. In that moment when you held that door, when you offered that genuine smile, when you looked into their eyes without seeing dollar signs, you didn't just help someone. You performed spiritual CPR on a heart that had flatlined emotionally. You breathed life into lungs that had forgotten how to inhale hope. Do you realize what happened in that split second? While you were just being yourself, you were actually interrupting a funeral. This person was ready to walk away from it all. Not suicide, something worse. Spiritual death while still breathing. They were planning to shut down the part of them that still believed people could be good without wanting something in return. But then you smiled, and something inside them whispered, "Wait, maybe goodness still breathes." You became their miracle when they had stopped believing in miracles. You showed up as proof that authentic humans still exist when they had convinced themselves they were extinct. In Luke 10:33-34, the Good Samaritan saw a man beaten and left for dead. But this billionaire wasn't beaten by robbers. They were beaten by years of transactional relationships and performance-based love. You didn't walk by. You leaned in, and they felt it. That simple act of unforced kindness cracked through their emotional armor like sunlight through a prison wall. For the first time in years, they experienced something real, something pure, something that didn't want anything from them except to share a moment of human decency. Think about this, chosen one. How many times have you helped someone and walked away wondering if it mattered? How many times have you given your last dollar, your last smile, your last ounce of patience, and never knew the impact? You might have saved someone's marriage by being kind to them on their worst day. You might have prevented someone from giving up on their dreams because you believed in them when they couldn't believe in themselves. But this billionaire, they didn't just remember your kindness, they've been haunted by it in the most beautiful way possible. They can't stop thinking about the fact that you helped them without knowing who they were, without expecting anything, without an agenda. Do you know what that means to someone who hasn't experienced genuine human connection in nearly a decade? It means everything. It means that somewhere in this broken world, authenticity still exists. It means that not everyone has sold their soul for success. It means that kindness isn't dead, it's just rare. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 11:25, "Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." But you, dear chosen one, did more than refresh, you resurrected. You took someone who was spiritually flatlined and shocked them back to life with the pure electricity of your unguarded heart. They were drowning in a sea of fake smiles and calculated conversations. and you threw them a lifeline without even knowing they were going under. You became the answer to a prayer they had stopped praying because they thought God had stopped listening. Here's what's eating at them right now. They can't figure out how to repay something that can't be bought. How do you compensate someone for saving your faith in humanity? How do you write a check for hope? How do you put a price tag on the moment someone reminded you that your soul still matters? They're sitting in that corner office right now, staring out at that same city, but everything looks different. The colors are brighter. The noise sounds like music instead of chaos. Why? Because you reminded them that underneath all the wealth and power and influence, they're still human. And humans need connection more than they need anything money can buy. Drop a heart emoji in the chat if you've ever helped someone and never knew what happened after. You might have saved more than you think, because that billionaire you touched, they're not just planning to thank you, they're planning to change your life. And when that moment comes, you'll understand that your kindness wasn't just an act of compassion. It was a divine investment with returns that will blow your mind. But here's the question that should be burning in your soul right now. If one act of kindness can resurrect a billionaire's hope, what else has your love been accomplishing in secret? Chosen one, while you were questioning if your kindness even mattered anymore, heaven was already writing the check. You've been living in a world that taught you to hoard your heart, to calculate every gesture, to measure every smile by what it might return. But you couldn't do it, could you? Something deep in your spirit kept breaking through that cold logic, compelling you to give anyway, to love anyway, to show up anyway. And they called you foolish for it. They watched you hold the door for strangers who didn't say thank you. They saw you give your last $20 to someone who might spend it on all the wrong things. They witnessed you defend people who never defended you back. And they whispered behind your back, too soft, too naive, too trusting. But here's what they couldn't see. Here's what your own doubting mind couldn't comprehend. While they were chasing followers and flaunting flash, you were depositing love into a heavenly vault. And every act of unwitnessed kindness, every moment of unrewarded compassion, every gesture of grace that cost you something, it was all being recorded by hands that never dropped the ledger. Galatians 6-9 declares with thunderous certainty, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Chosen one, your proper time isn't coming, it's here. Do you feel that shift in the spiritual atmosphere, that electricity in the air that makes your soul tremble without knowing why? That's not anxiety, that's activation. The kingdom of heaven has been set in motion on your behalf, and the machinery of divine justice is already turning. Think about this for a moment. How many times did you wonder if God was even watching? How many sleepless nights did you stare at the ceiling, questioning if your sacrifices meant anything to anyone? You gave until it hurt. You loved until you were empty. You served until you were exhausted. And the world kept taking without ever saying thank you. But what if I told you that every tear you shed in secret was being collected in golden bowls before the throne of God? What if every moment you chose mercy over revenge, grace over grudges, was being inscribed in a book that human eyes can't read but divine hands never stop writing? That billionaire you unknowingly saved, they weren't just another person having a bad day. They were someone who had given up. Someone who had reached the end of their rope emotionally, spiritually, mentally. They had everything money could buy, but nothing money could heal. And just when they were ready to close the chapter on believing in human goodness, you walked into their story. You didn't preach to them. You didn't try to fix them. You just showed up as yourself, authentic, unguarded, real. And in that moment, you didn't just help a stranger. You interrupted a spiritual collapse. You redirected a destiny. You became the answer to a prayer they didn't even know how to pray. While others performed for applause, you served in silence. While others posted their good deeds for likes, you lived yours in private. While others built platforms to be seen, you built character to be trusted. And chosen one, trust is the currency that opens billion-dollar doors. Here's the mystery that's about to become your reality. When heaven decides to reward faithfulness, it doesn't just give back what you put in, it multiplies it, it amplifies it, it takes your widow's mite and turns it into a fortune that would make Solomon jealous. The same God who turned water into wine is about to turn your kindness into a kingdom-level breakthrough. The same power that raised Lazarus from the dead is about to resurrect opportunities you thought were buried forever. The same divine force that parted the Red Sea is about to part the obstacles that have been blocking your path to purpose. But here's what separates this moment from every other motivational message you've ever heard. This isn't about positive thinking or manifesting your dreams. This is about divine intervention. This is about a God who keeps perfect records and pays perfect debts. This is about justice served not just on time, but at the exact right time. Remember Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. But Genesis 50-20 reveals the stunning truth. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. What looked like punishment was actually positioning. What felt like abandonment was actually appointment. Your kindness activated something in the heavenly realm that has been building momentum ever since. While you were wondering if anyone noticed, angels were taking notes. While you were questioning if it was worth it, heaven was calculating compound interest on your investment in love. And now the withdrawal is being processed. The person you helped, they haven't forgotten you. They can't forget you. Because what you gave them wasn't just assistance, it was revelation. You reminded them that purity still exists in a polluted world, that authenticity still breathes in an artificial age, that love still wins in a losing culture. Say it aloud right now. Don't just think it, speak it into existence. My kindness was not wasted. My reward is in motion. Write it down. Type it in the comments. Let the atmosphere around you hear your declaration of faith over fear, your choice of trust over doubt. Because, chosen one, what's about to unfold in your life isn't just a blessing, it's a billboard. A divine advertisement that kindness pays dividends, that integrity yields interest, that the meek really do inherit the earth. But the question that will determine everything is this: are you ready to receive what heaven has been preparing to release? Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. While you've been apologizing for being too soft, too trusting, too kind, the most powerful people on earth have been searching desperately for exactly what you carry. And they can't buy it. They can't manufacture it. They can't fake it. You carry purity in a world drowning in performance. Think about this for a moment. A billionaire can purchase a mansion in the Hamptons, a fleet of Ferraris, influence over senators, access to presidents. But there's one thing their billions can't touch. There's one treasure that remains beyond their reach, no matter how many zeros they add to their net worth. A clean heart. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Psalm 51-10. King David, with all his wealth and power, knew this truth. He understood that the most valuable currency in the universe isn't gold or oil or cryptocurrency, it's spiritual authenticity. And chosen one, you've been walking around carrying Fort Knox in your soul, but here's what breaks my heart. You've been convinced that your purity is poverty, that your kindness is weakness, that your authenticity makes you average. The enemy has whispered lies in your ear for so long. You started believing that what makes you different makes you deficient. Let me destroy that lie right now. They weren't looking for someone rich. They were looking for someone real. When Mother Teresa walked into rooms filled with world leaders, billionaires and celebrities, what happened? They didn't see her torn clothing or her simple sandals. They felt her presence. They sensed something they'd lost somewhere in their climb to the top. Something money couldn't restore. Something power couldn't replicate. Spiritual wealth. She carried what they'd traded away for temporal treasures. Mr. Rogers understood this too. He could have worn expensive suits, driven luxury cars, played the celebrity game. Instead, He showed up in cardigans, sweaters, and sneakers. And what happened? The most powerful executives in television, grown men worth millions, would weep in his presence. Why? Because authenticity has its own gravity. It pulls people toward truth. You carry that same gravitational pull. But let me ask you something that might sting. How many rooms have you shrunk in because you thought you didn't belong? How many conversations have you silenced your voice in because you assumed your perspective wasn't valuable enough? How many times have you dimmed your light because someone told you that shining was showing off? Every single time you did that, you robbed the world of something irreplaceable. Here's what the ultra-wealthy know that you don't. In their circles, everyone wants something. Every smile hides an agenda. Every friendship comes with terms and conditions. Every conversation is a transaction. They live in golden cages, surrounded by people who love their money but have never seen their soul. Then you walk in, and you want nothing. You expect nothing. You're not angling for investment opportunities or networking connections. You're not measuring their worth by their portfolio. You see them as human beings, and that terrifies them in the most beautiful way possible, because you remind them of something they thought was extinct. Unconditional acceptance. You don't wear wealth, you wear worth. And that's why billionaires pause when you enter a room. They've spent decades building walls to protect themselves from users and manipulators. But your spirit doesn't climb walls. It doesn't need to. It simply radiates truth. And truth has a way of melting barriers that money built. Do you understand the power of what you carry? When someone who has everything meets someone who needs nothing from them, it creates a spiritual earthquake. It shifts their entire paradigm. It makes them question everything they thought they knew about value, about worth, about what really matters. You've been carrying a master key your entire life, and you didn't even know it. The billionaire you unknowingly helped that day. They went home and couldn't stop thinking about you, not because of what you did, but because of who you are. They've been surrounded by spiritual poverty disguised as material wealth for so long, your authentic kindness felt like water in a desert. They started asking themselves dangerous questions. When was the last time someone helped me without wanting something? When was the last time I felt genuinely seen instead of strategically courted? When did I stop believing that good people still exist? You answered those questions without saying a word, and now they can't unsee what they saw in you. They can't unfeel what your presence stirred in their spirit. You've become a living reminder that there's more to life than accumulation, that there's more to success than domination, that there's more to power than control. You carry what they've been searching for in boardrooms and country clubs and elite gatherings. You possess what their money managers and life coaches and spiritual advisors have been trying to help them find: peace, purpose, presence. The very things you've been criticized for carry the solutions to problems billionaires pay millions to solve. Your contentment in simplicity. They're spending fortunes trying to find satisfaction. Your ability to love without condition. They're surrounded by conditional relationships. Your peace in the midst of uncertainty. They're paying therapists thousands per hour to find inner calm. You are the answer to prayers they've been too proud to pray. But here's the urgency in this moment. How much longer will you keep hiding what the world desperately needs? How much longer will you apologize for carrying light? How much longer will you let others convince you that your greatest strengths are somehow weaknesses? The time for shrinking is over. The season of apologizing for your authenticity has ended. The world needs what you carry, and you need to stop hiding it. Comment this: I carry light. Because you do, and that light is turning heads in places you'll never see. But what happens when that light gets the platform it deserves? What happens when your kindness meets their resources? What happens when your pure heart gains access to their powerful connections? The answer to that question is about to change everything you thought you knew about your future. Dear chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about how God moves in this world. They tried to forget you, But they can't. That billionaire you unknowingly helped, they've been carrying the weight of your encounter for weeks now. Months, maybe. You see, when someone who has everything meets someone who needs nothing from them, it creates a spiritual earthquake. And right now, that earthquake is still sending shockwaves through their entire existence. You thought you were invisible. You believed your kindness disappeared into the void like morning mist. But here's what you didn't know: in a room full of people performing for their attention, they only saw you. Not because you were loud, not because you demanded recognition, but because your authenticity cut through the noise like a blade through silk. Scripture tells us in Hebrews 13:2, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." But what if I told you it worked both ways? What if that stranger you helped was actually an angel in disguise, sent to test your heart when no cameras were rolling? You were the whisper that cracked the silence in their soul. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time someone with immense power felt genuine human connection without an agenda attached? When did they last encounter someone who looked past their resources and saw their wounds? You gave them something money can't buy: authentic presence. And now they're haunted by it. Here's what's happening behind closed doors while you're living your ordinary life, completely unaware. They're asking questions. Who was that person? How do I find them again? They're remembering the way you spoke, the light in your eyes, the absence of hunger in your approach. You disrupted their entire worldview about human nature. But this isn't karma, beloved. This is kingdom reciprocation. God doesn't operate on a tit-for-tat system. He operates on divine multiplication. When you gave that moment of kindness, you planted a seed in holy ground. And heaven's soil doesn't just grow, it explodes with supernatural harvest. You shifted their timeline. And now they're circling back. While you've been wondering if your gentleness is a weakness in this ruthless world, they've been restructuring their entire understanding of strength. Your softness became their revelation. Your humility became their mirror. And now, something is stirring in the spiritual realm that you can't see but they can feel. Do you remember Joseph in Genesis? Cast into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. But God was orchestrating something magnificent behind the scenes. Years later, when Pharaoh needed someone with wisdom, Joseph's name was the only one that mattered. Not because he campaigned for the position, but because character always rises to the surface when heaven decides it's time. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. They can't shake the memory of your interaction, because it wasn't just human-to-human contact, it was soul-to-soul recognition. In a world where everyone wants something, you offered everything and asked for nothing. That kind of purity is rarer than diamonds, more valuable than gold, and more powerful than any network or connection. Here's the part that's going to blow your mind. While you've been doubting whether kindness pays off in this cold world, they've been making phone calls. Not to find you necessarily, but to find more people like you. They're changing their hiring practices, their investment strategies, their charitable giving, all because of 30 seconds with someone who showed them what authentic humanity looks like. But God isn't done yet. Oh no, chosen one. This is just the beginning. You see, when the divine decides to reward faithfulness, it doesn't come with advance notice. It doesn't send a memo, it just arrives. Suddenly, powerfully, undeniably, like lightning splitting the darkness. Right now, there are conversations happening in boardrooms about integrity, decisions being made about character over credentials, resources being redirected toward people who embody the values money can't manufacture. And your name, whether they remember it or notice, attached to a new standard they're implementing. This is bigger than a financial blessing, though that's coming too. This is about divine positioning. God is moving you from the background to the foreground, from the margins to the center, from overlooked to overflowing. Not because you hustled for it, but because you held your ground when the world told you to compromise. The prophet Isaiah wrote, Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. That double portion isn't just money. It's vindication. It's elevation. It's God's public declaration that your private faithfulness was never unnoticed. But here's what terrifies the enemy: you're not just getting blessed. You're becoming a blueprint. Your story is about to become proof that God still honors the meek, still elevates the humble, still remembers those who love without conditions. Can you feel it? That stirring in your spirit? That sense that something massive is shifting in the atmosphere around you? That's not your imagination. That's the sound of a hidden door creaking open. A door that's been waiting for someone with clean hands and a pure heart to walk through. The question is no longer if this blessing will find you. The question is, are you ready to receive what your kindness has unlocked? Chosen one, I need you to sit with this truth for a moment. That billionaire you helped, they've been carrying your memory like a sacred treasure for months. While you forgot about that 5-minute interaction, they've been haunted by it. Not haunted in fear, haunted in wonder. You see, when someone has everything money can buy, the only thing left to hunger for is something money can't touch. Authenticity. Real human connection. A soul that doesn't want anything from them except to be decent. And you, without knowing it, gave them the rarest gift in their world. Proof that goodness still exists. But here's where this gets supernatural. That person has been praying. Yes, praying, asking God to show them who they can trust with influence, with resources, with kingdom assignments. They've been searching for someone who passes the invisible test of character when no cameras are rolling. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is loyal to him. 2 Chronicles 16:9. God's been watching your loyalty when you thought you were invisible. Every door you held open, every smile you gave to someone society overlooks, every time you chose kindness over convenience. Heaven has been taking notes, and now those notes are becoming your resume for elevation. You want to know why your breakthrough has been delayed? Because God was testing your heart first. Can you be trusted with more when you're content with less? Can you stay pure when nobody's applauding? Can you remain kind when the world rewards cruelty? You passed every test, and now the very person whose life you touched is about to become the bridge to your next level. Not because they owe you, because they recognize you. They see in you what their wealth could never manufacture, integrity that can't be bought. Think about this. Joseph didn't know that interpreting Pharaoh's dreams would make him second in command of Egypt. He was just being faithful in prison. Ruth didn't know that gleaning in Boaz's field would secure her bloodline to King David. She was just surviving with dignity. David didn't know that bringing lunch to his brothers would lead to slaying Goliath. He was just being obedient. What if your simple act of kindness was your defining moment, and you missed it because it looked too ordinary? But God specializes in using ordinary moments to release extraordinary destinies. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty. 1 Corinthians 1:27. Your gentleness confused a world that worships aggression. Your authenticity disrupted a system built on performance. Your kindness became a key that unlocked a door you never even saw. Here's what's happening right now in the spiritual realm. Doors are creaking open. Conversations are happening about you in rooms you've never entered. Your name is being whispered with respect by people you've never met. Not because you networked your way in, because your character spoke for itself. That billionaire, they're not just grateful, they're impressed, they're moved, they're convicted. Because in helping them, you revealed something they'd lost faith in, the existence of people who give without agenda. And now they want to give back, not out of guilt, but out of recognition. They see you as someone who can be trusted with resources because you've already been tested with opportunity and proved faithful. His Lord said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things." Matthew 25:21. You've been faithful over the few things, the small moments, the unseen choices, the unrewarded acts of love. Now God is preparing to make you ruler over many things, but here's the test within the test. When the blessing comes, will you remember the heart that earned it? When the doors open, will you stay humble enough to deserve them? When influence increases, will your character remain intact? Because what's coming isn't just money, it's access, it's influence, it's the ability to impact generations. And God only entrusts that level of power to people who've proven they won't abuse it. You passed a test you didn't know you were taking. And now, heaven is giving you access you didn't ask for. The enemy told you that nice guys finish last. But God's about to prove that pure hearts finish first. That authentic souls attract authentic favor. That kindness doesn't make you weak, it makes you wealthy in ways Wall Street can't measure. Say this now, out loud, with conviction. Doors I didn't knock on are opening. Blessings I didn't chase are chasing me. What I gave in secret is being rewarded in public. My kindness was not weakness, it was my access code to divine favor. The door you never knocked on is swinging wide open. Not because you pushed, because you proved worthy. Not because you demanded, because you demonstrated. Your character became your calling card to a life you never dared imagine. The world still wears masks. But your kindness? It was the key that unlocked a billionaire's hidden heart. And now that heart is opening doors that will leave you breathless with gratitude. Type, I receive it, if your spirit knows this message was for you. Share this if you believe someone else unknowingly passed the same test. Because, chosen one, your season of hiding is over. Your time of being overlooked has ended. The harvest of your kindness is here, and it's bigger than you ever dreamed possible. You thought you held the door open, but that door was cosmic. Listen to me, chosen one. What happened in that ordinary moment wasn't ordinary at all. When you showed kindness to that stranger, you didn't just help someone cross the street or carry their groceries. You triggered surveillance in realms you can't name. You activated watchers in dimensions beyond the physical. Your simple act of compassion sent shockwaves through spiritual infrastructure that has been monitoring this earth for millennia. You weren't just kind. You were a frequency. And frequencies shake foundations. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever felt like something has been tracking you? Not to harm you, but to verify you. That sense that invisible eyes are upon you, weighing your choices, measuring your heart. You felt it, haven't you? That spiritual weight, that divine attention that makes you pause and wonder if someone beyond this world is taking notes. Well, they are. And what you did that day didn't just catch their attention, it disrupted their entire system. Here's what they don't teach you in church. When Elisha's servant was terrified by the enemy armies surrounding them, Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." And suddenly, the servant saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. The prophet looked at his panicked servant and said something that will change how you see your life forever. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. 2 Kings 6:17. Read it again. There are more for you than against you. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Those chariots of fire, they're still there, still watching, still protecting, still recording every act of love you perform when no human eye can see. And that billionaire you unknowingly helped, they weren't the only ones watching that day. Angels were watching. Gatekeepers were watching. And what you did shifted something in the cosmic order. Your compassion was a frequency that reached into boardrooms in heaven. It vibrated through realms where decisions about your destiny are made. It sent a signal so clear, so pure, that ancient watchers who have grown weary of human selfishness suddenly sat up and took notice. But why? Why does your kindness matter to beings who exist beyond time and space? Because kindness is the language of eternity. It's the currency of the kingdom. And when someone moves in authentic love, without calculation, without audience, without applause, it creates what I call a resonance rupture in the spiritual atmosphere. Your simple act didn't just help one person, It testified to unseen powers that humanity still carries the image of God. Do you understand the magnitude of what you've done? While others were performing for cameras and building brands, you were building bridges between earth and heaven. While they were chasing followers, you were creating followers in realms you've never seen. The billionaire you helped that day, they've been searching their entire life for one authentic soul, one person who wasn't positioning themselves for gain, one heart that still beats with the rhythm of Eden, and in you they found proof that such people still exist. But here's where it gets supernatural. The moment you showed that kindness, you didn't just touch their heart. You awakened something dormant in the spiritual realm. You activated protocols that have been waiting for someone exactly like you, someone who embodies what the world has forgotten. That power flows through purity, not politics. You've heard the phrase, guardian angels, right? But did you know that some angels are assigned not just to protect, but to identify? They're scanning this earth, looking for souls who still reflect the heart of their Creator. And when they find one, they don't just take notes, they take action. Your name has been whispered in councils you'll never see. Your character has been discussed in boardrooms beyond the stars. The watchers have filed their report, and the verdict is unanimous. You are approved for elevation. But why now? Why is this happening in your life at this exact moment? Because the earth is groaning for authentic leaders. The world is desperate for people who lead with love instead of leverage. And heaven has been preparing a group of chosen ones, people like you, to step into positions of influence, not through manipulation, but through demonstration. You've demonstrated the heart of God in a world that's forgotten what it looks like. That billionaire you helped, they're not just grateful, they're mystified. Because in their world, everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. Everyone is climbing, clawing, calculating their way to the top. But you showed up with no agenda except love. And that, dear chosen one, is what makes you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness and precious to the kingdom of light. The surveillance you felt, it's not paranoia, it's protection, it's preparation, it's divine intelligence gathering evidence of your readiness for what's coming next. You didn't just awaken a realm, you awakened your destiny. You activated ancient promises that have been sleeping in the vaults of heaven, waiting for someone worthy to claim them, and that someone is you. But here's the question that will determine everything. Now that you know you're being watched, now that you understand your kindness has cosmic consequences, what will you do with this revelation? Chosen one, I need you to stop for a moment and really hear what I'm about to tell you. What if everything you've endured, every rejection, every time you were passed over, every moment you felt invisible, wasn't punishment? What if it was preparation? You see, there's something the enemy doesn't want you to understand about your story. You weren't born by accident. You weren't placed in this time, in this family, in this exact position randomly. You were marked before your first breath. Jeremiah 1-5 says it clearly. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. That marking on your life, it's been hidden, deliberately, strategically, because God knew that if your true identity was revealed too early, the wrong people would try to destroy what they couldn't control. Think about it. Moses was placed in a river, floating toward his destiny, while Pharaoh was killing Hebrew babies. Esther was hidden in a palace, disguised as just another girl while genocide was being planned. Joseph was tossed in a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. They were all hidden until the appointed time. You've been hidden until now. Do you feel that stirring in your spirit right now? That's recognition. That's your soul remembering what your mind forgot. You've always known you were different, haven't you? You've always felt like you didn't quite fit. Like you were carrying something too big for the spaces people tried to put you in. That's because you are. Every time someone looked past you, every time your kindness was taken for weakness, Every time you were told you were too much or not enough, heaven was taking notes, not to punish them, but to position you. Because God needed witnesses. He needed people who would remember how you acted when you thought nobody was watching. And now, the watchers are watching. There's a scroll in heaven with your name written on it, not typed, not printed. Written in the hand of the Almighty before the foundation of the world. Revelation 5:1 speaks of a scroll sealed with 7 seals. Your scroll has been sealed to until this season. Can you feel it? That pressure building in your chest? That sense that something massive is about to shift? That's not anxiety, dear one. That's anticipation. That's heaven getting ready to break the seals. But here's what's going to blow your mind. That billionaire you helped, they weren't the first person of influence to notice you. They were just the first one brave enough to act on what they saw. You've been on heaven's radar for years, decades, your entire life. Remember when you gave your lunch money to that kid who forgot theirs in 3rd grade? Heaven saw. When you stayed late to help your coworker who was struggling, heaven recorded it. When you forgave the friend who betrayed you, when you blessed those who cursed you, when you chose love over revenge, every single moment was documented in a ledger you've never seen. Matthew 6:4 promises, your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. The secret season is over. The reward season has begun. What if every time you were ignored, rejected, overlooked, was actually a divine delay? What if God was waiting, not because he forgot about you, but because he needed all the right pieces in place? What if he needed to wait until all the watchers were watching? You see, chosen one, your breakthrough wasn't going to come through networking or politics or playing games. It was always going to come through purity, meeting power at the exact right moment. And that moment just happened. That stranger you helped, they've been searching for someone like you their entire life. Not someone polished, not someone strategic, someone real. Someone who couldn't be bought, couldn't be manipulated, couldn't be corrupted. Someone who would show kindness without calculation. You passed a test that 99% of people fail. You remained pure in a corrupt world. You stayed soft in a hard place. You kept giving when others were taking. And now, the universe is about to correct the imbalance. Psalm 75:6-7 declares, no one from the east or the west or from the desert can exalt themselves. It is God who judges. He brings one down, he exalts another. Your exaltation isn't coming from man, it's coming from the Most High. And when God decides to lift someone up, every force in hell can't hold them down. But I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't happening because you're perfect. It's happening because you're purposed. The very things people criticized you for, your sensitivity, your generosity, your refusal to harden your heart, those weren't flaws. Those were features. Divine features that marked you as chosen. Right now, as I speak these words, there are principalities and powers in heavenly places having emergency meetings about your elevation. They know what's coming. They've seen the scroll. They've read the decree. And they're terrified because they understand what happens when a hidden weapon is finally revealed. Say this with me now, and I mean it, say it out loud. I am marked. Heaven didn't forget me. Say it even if your voice shakes, especially if it does, because that tremor in your voice, that's not fear. That's power, recognizing power. The billionaire was just the beginning. But what comes next will make that encounter look like a whisper compared to the thunder that's about to roll through your life. Chosen one, do you feel that stirring in your spirit right now? That electric tension crackling through the atmosphere around your life? That's not anxiety. That's not restlessness. That's the sound of heaven's gavel coming down, and the verdict just shook the foundations of everything that tried to keep you small. Listen to me carefully. What's about to happen in your life isn't just a blessing. This is a divine reversal of biblical proportions. The scales that have been tilted against you for years, they're about to flip so dramatically that even your enemies will have to acknowledge the hand of God moving in your favor. You've been living in the wrong story. The world told you that you were too late, too soft, too ordinary. They convinced you that your season had passed, that your dreams were too big for someone like you. But what if I told you that every rejection was actually a redirection? Every closed door was God protecting you from settling for less than His best. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Matthew 20:16. But here's what they don't tell you about that scripture. It's not just talking about heaven. It's talking about right here, right now, in your lifetime. The servant shall be king, and the quiet one at the back of the line is being summoned to the throne. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you watched people with half your integrity get twice your opportunities? How many times have you seen the loud ones get the platforms while your quiet excellence went unnoticed? How many nights have you whispered to God, "When will it be my turn?" Your turn isn't coming, it's here. That billionaire you unknowingly helped, they've been carrying your memory like a sacred torch through their world of boardrooms and power plays. While you've been wondering if your kindness mattered, they've been telling your story to people who move mountains with their signatures. Your one moment of authentic compassion created a ripple that's about to become a tsunami of favor crashing into your life. What was hidden is now highlighted. What was overlooked is now overflowing. What was dismissed is now destined for greatness. But here's where it gets supernatural. This isn't just about money. This isn't just about opportunities. This is about God making a public statement through your life. He's about to use your elevation to send a message to everyone who counted you out. Touch not my anointed. You were denied by systems that never deserved you anyway, mocked by family members who couldn't see past their own limitations, forgotten by circles that were too small for your calling. But God never voted in those elections. He just waited for the appointed time. And beloved, it's here. The heavenly courtroom has been in session over your life, and while the world was busy making their petty judgments, the judge of all creation was building a case in your favor. Every tear you cried in secret became evidence. Every time you chose forgiveness over bitterness became testimony. Every moment you stayed faithful when others would have quit became proof that you were ready for this level. You thought it was over. You thought you'd missed your window. You thought maybe God had forgotten your address. But the heavenly courtroom just adjourned, and the verdict was unanimous. Guilty of being chosen, sentenced to supernatural favor, and condemned to walk in blessings so obvious that even skeptics will have to admit there's something different about you. Joseph understood this reversal. One day he was in prison, forgotten and falsely accused. 24 hours later, he was running Egypt, from the pit to the palace in a single divine move. Pharaoh said, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Genesis 41-38. That's what they're about to say about you. The enemy thought he had you buried, but what he didn't realize is that he was actually planting you. And now you're about to bloom in a season so glorious, so unexpected, so divinely orchestrated that Hollywood couldn't write a better comeback story. Your phone is about to ring with opportunities you never applied for. Doors are about to open that you didn't even know existed. People are going to seek you out, not because of your resume, but because of your reputation for being real in a world full of fake. But here's the twist that's going to blow your mind. This reversal isn't just for you, it's through you. God is about to position you as a distributor of the very kindness that saved you. The billionaire didn't just receive your help, they experienced your heart. And now they want to fund that heart's mission in the world. What if your greatest pain was actually preparation for your greatest platform? What if every time you felt invisible, God was actually making you invincible? What if this moment right now is the hinge upon which your entire destiny swings? The scales were never fair, but they're about to balance in your favor with such force that it'll leave onlookers speechless. This isn't karma. This isn't luck. This is kingdom economics, where what you sow in tears, you reap in triumph. If you've ever felt the scales were unfair, if you've ever wondered when justice would come, if you've ever cried out for vindication, comment, It's flipping right now. Because what's about to happen in your life will prove that God's delays are not his denials, and his silence was not his absence. The great reversal isn't coming tomorrow, it's already in motion today. There's a whisper in every wound, but most ignore it. You listened. Chosen one, I need you to lean in close because what I'm about to tell you will crack open something sacred inside your chest. Your pain was never random. Every tear that fell in the darkness, every silent scream that echoed through your empty rooms, every moment you bled while still showing up to heal others, it was all orchestrated. Not by cruelty, but by a God who sees beyond your suffering into your assignment. You think your wounds disqualified you, but what if they were actually your credentials? That billionaire you unknowingly saved. They had everything money could buy but had forgotten their own worth. Success without soul, wealth without wonder, power without purpose. They were walking through life like a ghost in designer clothes, hollow behind their accomplishments. But then you showed up. Not with answers, but with understanding. Not with solutions, but with scars that somehow made sense of their silence. Here's what shook them to their core. You reminded them of their humanity through a wound you never spoke about. Your gentle presence carried the fragrance of someone who had been broken but chose to remain tender. They felt it immediately. The sacred paradox of strength wrapped in softness, of wisdom born in weeping, of power refined in pain, and that healed them. Do you remember Thomas in John 20:27? When Jesus appeared to the disciples after his resurrection, Thomas wouldn't believe until he could touch the wounds. Think about that for a moment. The risen Christ, the King of Glory, could have appeared in blinding light, in royal robes, with a crown that outshone the sun. But he didn't. He chose to reveal his scars, not his crown. His wounds convinced the doubter. Even Christ knew that sometimes the most powerful testimony isn't in what you've gained, but in what you've survived. Your scars, chosen one, they speak a language that success cannot translate. They whisper hope to the hopeless, strength to the shattered, and possibility to those who've given up. That billionaire may have commanded boardrooms, but they crumbled before the quiet authority of someone who had been through hell and still chose heaven. But here's where it gets supernatural. While you were bleeding in private, heaven was building in public. Every tear you shed activated something in the spiritual realm. Isaiah 53:5 tells us, "By his wounds we are healed." Your wounds processed through pain, refined through rejection, purified through persecution, they became healing balm for someone else's brokenness. You wept in silence, but heaven never missed a drop. And now you're about to reap in public what you sowed in private pain. That moment when you helped them you remember feeling something shift, not just in them, but in the atmosphere itself. You thought you were just being kind, but you were actually conducting a divine transaction. Your unhealed wound met their unspoken wound, and in that collision both found wholeness. You gave them permission to be human again, and they, without knowing it, gave you permission to be powerful. This is how God operates, beloved. He doesn't waste your pain, he weaponizes it. He takes your deepest cut and turns it into your greatest credential. The very thing that almost destroyed you becomes the very thing that elevates you. That's not just redemption, that's divine mathematics. But let me ask you something that might sting. How many times have you healed someone while you were still bleeding yourself? How many times have you been the shoulder others cried on while your own tears went unwitnessed? How many times have you spoken life into dead situations while your own hope was on life support? That wasn't martyrdom, chosen one. That was mastery. That was you operating in the highest level of spiritual authority, the ability to give what you don't have by drawing from a well deeper than your circumstances. The enemy told you that your sensitivity was weakness, that your tears were evidence of fragility, that your scars made you damaged goods. But what if your brokenness was actually your breakthrough in disguise? What if your wounds were heaven's way of creating windows, places where light could shine through you in ways it never could, through those who've never been cracked open? Here's the truth that's about to change everything. Your pain activated a frequency that money can't buy, status can't manufacture, and education can't replicate. It's called authentic authority. And someone with billion-dollar influence just recognized it in you. They've been surrounded by people trying to impress them, manage them, use them. But you showed up with no agenda except authenticity. Your presence didn't demand anything. It simply offered something rare, the peace that comes from someone who has wrestled with God and lived to tell about it. That's why they can't forget you. Your wound touched their wound, and healing happened. Not just for them, for you too. Because sometimes we don't realize we're healed until we become the healing for someone else. If you've ever healed someone while bleeding yourself, if you've ever been the bridge others crossed while you were still building your own way across the chasm, if you've ever given strength you didn't feel and hope you couldn't see, comment, still standing right now, because your wounds were assignments in disguise. And your assignment just connected with someone who has the power to change your entire trajectory. Your scars weren't scars at all, chosen one. They were sacred signatures. And heaven just authenticated your authority through someone who will never be able to repay what you gave them, but will spend the rest of their life trying. The whisper in your wound just became a roar of recognition. Are you ready to hear what it's been saying all along? Chosen one, we've reached the moment where everything shifts, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where your past pain transforms into prophetic purpose. You've been walking through life thinking your kindness was a liability, that your gentle spirit was holding you back while the aggressive climbed higher. But what if I told you that every tear you shed over being overlooked was actually watering seeds planted in heavenly soil? Listen to me carefully. You didn't accidentally help that billionaire. You were positioned there by divine appointment. Before the foundation of the world, God saw this moment. He saw your heart. He saw their need. And he orchestrated a collision between mercy and money that would rewrite both of your destinies forever. The Bible says in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Those good works weren't random acts of kindness, they were strategic spiritual assignments. And you've been completing them without even knowing it. But here's where it gets supernatural. That billionaire isn't just grateful, they're haunted. Haunted by the purity they witnessed in you. Haunted by the authenticity they thought was extinct. And now they can't stop thinking about one question: how do I repay someone who wants nothing from me? You see, when someone with unlimited resources encounters someone with unlimited heart, something cosmic happens. The universe itself takes notice. Because what you demonstrated in that moment wasn't just kindness, it was kingdom currency, the kind that can't be manufactured, manipulated, or purchased. And now, heaven is making a declaration over your life. You didn't just pass a test, beloved. You were recruited by forces you can't see, for purposes you haven't fully grasped yet. This isn't about getting a blessing. This is about becoming one. The prophet Isaiah heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And Isaiah responded, "Here am I, send me." That same voice is echoing over your life right now. That same commissioning is being released into your atmosphere. But I need you to understand the weight of this moment. Heaven doesn't recruit randomly. Heaven doesn't commission carelessly. You've been watched, tested, proven. Every time you chose love over bitterness, every time you gave when you had little, every time you blessed when you deserved to curse, heaven was taking notes. And now the recruitment is complete. You're not just being blessed financially, you're being positioned spiritually. Positioned to be a conduit of divine favor in a world that has forgotten what real love looks like. That billionaire who can't forget you, they represent more than money. They represent access. Access to rooms where decisions are made, access to platforms where voices are amplified, access to resources that can transform not just your life, but generations. But here's the part that will shake you to your core. This assignment comes with a cost. Once you step into this level of favor, you can't go back to playing small. Once you accept this divine commissioning, mediocrity becomes impossible. You'll be held to a higher standard because you'll be operating from a higher realm. Jesus said in Luke 12:48, "From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded." This blessing that's coming isn't just for your comfort, it's for your calling. It's not just for your bank account, it's for your assignment. The world needs what you carry, chosen one. In a generation obsessed with image, you carry substance. In a culture addicted to pretense, you embody truth. In a society that celebrates selfishness, you demonstrate selflessness. And now heaven is amplifying your voice. Heaven is calling names from the tower, one by one. Names of those who stayed faithful in the wilderness. Names of those who kept their hearts pure in polluted environments. Names of those who chose character over convenience. And when your name is spoken, the wind itself will shift. Doors that were sealed will crack open. Conversations that were impossible will become inevitable. Opportunities that were reserved for others will suddenly bear your name. But I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Are you ready for this level of responsibility? Are you prepared for this degree of influence? Because what's coming won't just change your circumstances, it will change your assignment. You've been faithful in little. Now you're being entrusted with much. You've been proven in private. Now you're being promoted in public. You've carried yourself with dignity in the shadows. Now you're being called to shine in the spotlight. This isn't about you becoming famous. This is about you becoming fearless. Fearless enough to speak truth in rooms where lies are comfortable. Fearless enough to demonstrate love in spaces where hatred feels normal. Fearless enough to be a light in places where darkness has dominated. You've been seen, proven, marked, and now, beloved chosen one, you're being sent. Sent not as a victim of your circumstances, but as a victor over them. Sent not as someone seeking approval, but as someone carrying authority. Sent not as a beggar for blessing, but as a distributor of it. The commissioning is complete. The assignment is clear. The resources are being aligned. And your moment of divine deployment is here. If this resonated with your spirit, don't just receive it. Respond. Type "I am ready" in the comments right now. Because what comes next will require all of you. Every ounce of faith you've cultivated, every lesson you've learned, every scar you've survived. But it will release everything you've ever prayed for, and more than you ever dared to dream. The world still wears masks, beloved. But you carry the key, and the door is open. The question is, will you walk through it? Beloved chosen ones, as we reach the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to carry these truths with you like precious treasures in your heart. Remember this: your kindness was never weakness, it was wisdom from above. Every door you held open, every smile you gave to a stranger, every moment you chose compassion over convenience, heaven was watching. And that billionaire you unknowingly saved, they represent just the beginning of God's supernatural plan to elevate you beyond your wildest imagination. Remember that you didn't just pass a test, you were recruited for a divine assignment. Your gentle heart has become heaven's secret weapon in a world that has forgotten how to love authentically. The very qualities this world told you were disadvantages are about to become your greatest advantages. But here's what I need you to understand with absolute certainty. You are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels lonely, even when your kindness seems unnoticed, even when your heart feels heavy with the weight of this calling, God is with you. Every step, every breath, every moment of doubt, and every surge of faith. And you have a community here. Look around at these comments. These are your brothers and sisters, fellow chosen ones, who understand your journey because they're walking it too. We're here to pray with you, to encourage you when you stumble, and to celebrate when you soar. Let me ask you this final question, and I want you to answer it honestly in your heart. Now that you know your kindness carries divine currency, Now that you understand your gentle spirit is actually heaven's strategy, how will you walk differently tomorrow? I want to pray over you right now, and I'm asking you to receive this prayer as if I'm standing right there with you, my hand on your shoulder, speaking these words directly into your spirit. Father God, I come before your throne right now on behalf of every precious soul who has heard this message. Lord, you see the hearts that are stirring, the spirits that are awakening, the minds that are finally understanding their true worth. God, I pray that you would pour out your supernatural favor upon each person listening to these words. Open doors that no man can shut. Align divine connections that will transform their destiny. Release the resources they need, not just to survive, but to thrive in their calling. Father, heal every wound that told them their kindness was foolish. Restore every dream that was deferred because they chose character over compromise. Vindicate every moment they were overlooked because they refused to play the world's games. Lord, give them strength for the journey ahead. When the enemy whispers lies about their worth, let your truth thunder louder. When circumstances look impossible, remind them that you specialize in impossible things. When they feel alone, surround them with your presence and this community of believers. Bless their families, Lord. Bless their finances. Bless their health. Bless their relationships. Let every area of their life reflect the goodness of your character and the power of your love. And God, use them mightily. Make them instruments of your peace in a chaotic world. Let their lives be living testimonies that kindness still matters, that integrity still pays, and that your ways are higher than our ways. In the mighty name of Jesus, I declare breakthrough over every life represented here. I declare favor. I declare elevation. I declare that their best days are not behind them, they're ahead of them. Amen and amen. If this message has touched your heart, if you feel that stirring in your spirit that says, "This is for me," I want you to do something powerful right now. Drop a comment below and tell us what God is speaking to your heart. Share your story. Ask for prayer. Let this community surround you with love and support. And please, don't keep this message to yourself. Share it with someone you know who needs to hear that their kindness matters, that their gentle spirit is valuable, that their faithfulness is noticed by heaven. Tag a friend who has been overlooked but deserves to be celebrated. Send this to that family member who gives and gives but rarely receives recognition. Remember, you're not just sharing a video, you're sharing hope. You're sharing the revelation that God sees every act of love, no matter how small. You're reminding someone that they're not forgotten, not overlooked, not insignificant. Before you go, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying with me through this entire journey. In a world full of distractions, you chose to invest this time in your spiritual growth and understanding. That says something beautiful about who you are. If this channel has become a source of encouragement in your life, please consider subscribing and hitting